So in this presentation we're going to take a look at applying Mermaid to operations and maintenance analysis for power generation farms offshore. So first of all, what are the puzzle pieces that we're interested in here? Well, there's the yield, the downtime and the cost. They're the things that we're trying to calculate. There's the power generation equipment. We're going to require some kind of reliability model, and there are the offshore operations themselves. So let's take a look at each of these parts in turn and see how they contribute to the whole. So firstly, the yield, downtime and cost. Well, this is the purpose of the analysis, and we're looking to minimise the incurred cost whilst we maximise the yield and the profit that we're making from our farm. The power generation equipment, we're going to need to know the failures that can occur. So what kinds of failures can happen and when. We're going to need to know how to fix these failures, so we need a plan for each failure that can occur, and we're going to want to know how to prevent failure, so we're going to need a plan for preventative maintenance to keep our farm running as efficiently as we can. As we said, we're going to need some kind of reliability model, and from this we're going to want to determine what the state of the farm is. And we're going to want to know the operating status of each component. So is that component online and contributing to the yield, or is that component offline and we're incurring some kind of downtime? And we need to know this across all the components in the farm and therefore the items in the farm itself. We're going to need to know what repairs are currently occurring, and from that information we're going to need to know how much power is currently being generated. We have our offshore operations, and this is where Mermaid really comes into the equation. So we're going to have a marine operations plan for preventative maintenance and for reactive maintenance, and that's something that we can put into Mermaid and we can simulate. And from that we're going to get an understanding of the weather risk around these operations, and from that we can reduce the operational downtime and risk. We can work out how quickly we can get things back online and what the most efficient way of doing that is. We can therefore reduce the generation downtime, and through analysis in Mermaid we can optimize these procedures, these marine operations. We've looked at these puzzle pieces, these parts, and we need to somehow create an integrated model which allows us to analyze our farm and to understand when it's on and offline, and what elements are causing downtime and how we're reacting to that. So we've got our puzzle, and we can actually look at this as a sort of flow diagram here. So we're starting off with all the things on the left hand side of the diagram being our planning, our details of our farm and of our operations. And we have our description of the farm, the failures that happen and how often those failures occur. And coming off that we have planned maintenance, where we're looking to go out and repair things before they break, make sure they're working efficiently. And we have a marine operations plan for doing that. On the bottom of the diagram we have how we're going to fix failures when they occur. So are we going to fix one item, two items, three items? Are we going to wait until we've got a queue built up? Or are we going to fix things immediately? What vessels are we going to use? How are we going to get our workforce onto the turbine, and other such questions? And that forms a marine operations plan for fixing failures. On the right hand side of the diagram we have the numerical modelling that we can perform. So we have a couple of components we can look at in Mermaid, the marine operations, and that feeds information into the yield of the downtime and the cost, which is our endpoint and the question we're really trying to answer. And Mermaid exists already. Mermaid is available on a license basis to perform this analysis, to perform this optimization with. In the middle of that diagram we also have a reliability model which, as we've said previously, informs the status of the farm, and that's something that the Mermaid simulations can feed into, and something that also feeds into the yield, downtime and cost outcome. Now that reliability model doesn't exist as a sort of software package currently. There are a number of approaches that can be taken, and there's a number of things in the academic literature that can be found. One area that is quite interesting in that is the work that Mojo are supporting alongside Mermaid with the University of Exeter, being performed by Giovanni Rinaldi, who's developing a model which takes Mermaid inputs into it and gives us this information on the downtime and the yield of the farm. And that's a nice model because it's developing with Mermaid integration, and it allows us to seamlessly simulate this farm, and we're sort of starting to roll that out and make that available. So to sort of summarize, we can use Mermaid on its own to get a good understanding of the risk around the marine operations and to really optimize that process. And then we can bring that in with other modeling, either Giovanni's work or other things that are out there, to give us a really good picture of the entire farm.